let's get started, Adam. First of all, thank you very much for joining us tonight on Golf Live. Greatly appreciative of you getting on Golf Live and doing your first live stream with us. Hopefully it's the first of many. And for those for those of you that don't know me, my name is Alan Belden. I am a PGA professional. I'm an active coach on Golf Live. I'm also the co-founder of Golf Live as well. And very, very honored and happy to have Adam Bazalgette with us tonight. Adam is
delighted to be here. Where are you at right now, Alan? You're in Pennsylvania? I mean, in Massachusetts?
I'm in Massachusetts, yeah. So I'm located just west of Boston. Adam is in Naples, Florida, right? So one of the beauties of Golf Live is that we can do these remotely from anywhere in the world. Don't have to be in the same location. But you've been teaching golf for over 35 years, correct? And
yeah, probably more like 40, actually, as it shows, I'm sure, as you look at me. You've still got some gray in there. See, I've only got snow white here.
Yeah.
But anyway. Long time. It's funny enough, just for a moment, because I know we've got other things to get to, but there's a member at the club where I teach in Naples. It's a very affluent club, and he's an investor in Golf Live. He told me about a year ago, he said, you got to look at this thing. This thing's fantastic. And that's how we even got hooked up in the first place, other than, we kind of know each other through other sources. But it's some great technology, as you guys will be exposed to tonight.
Yeah, so we are in the middle of launching our newest editions, and I don't want to get sidetracked on the tech things, but everybody that is on this call that may be interested in learning more about Golf Live, you can always reach out to myself or anyone with the team. But we do have some really cool things coming. In addition to the live streams, the in-person videos, as well as our live virtual, which we have a patent on. So basically the technology that everybody's going to see tonight and what we're going to be doing in analyzing videos is something that we can do live in a virtual lesson. So
I've done that before. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get to see it tonight. So, but one of the things I wanted to just point out, because I was reading a little bit about you, Adam, 500,000 subscribers on YouTube with over 70 million total views. Very, very impressive following.
Thank you.
And
it's Scratch Golf Academy. A lot of people that watch YouTube may not know my name, but they may have seen Scratch Golf Academy. So anyway.
But yes, 100% Scratch Golf Academy.
We're actually, we're actually at 100 million views now. Now, probably a lot of those are shorts and fractions, but kind of interesting.
You've cracked the 100 million mark on Scratch Golf, so congratulations with that. Also four-time winner of the South Florida PGA Teacher of the Year and numerous appearances on the Golf Channel as well. So
thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us today. So tonight, what we sent out emails to or invited everybody that registered with the opportunity to be able to come on and send in their videos, and we're going to analyze them live on the air tonight while everybody's watching and be able to and show off the technology that we have here. So
we'd like to answer questions as we go and have some interaction and see if hopefully we can be helpful between Alan and I, and we will do our very best.
This is meant to be interactive. If somebody has any questions, I will be reading them as we go along. We'll get through the videos, and we will leave time at the end to make sure that we give everybody a few minutes at the end if you have anything that you want specifically answered. Adam and I will be happy to do that. Yeah. But let's go ahead and select our first video. So if we go ahead and we'll start that screen share button.
And I go to start broadcast.
Start the broadcast 100%. And then, and then your screen will be shared with the audience, and you'll be able to pull up the videos on that gallery. And
so let's see this one here, and I'll go to watch or
edit.
I just did this the other night with Alan, and then in our practice run here, I managed to completely muddle the screen. There, we blow that up a little bit. So let's have a look. This is a driver. I mean, my first thought when I look at that, let me just put a little line on here. My first thought is there's a lot of, that's a bit of a thick line there. There's a lot of forward shaft lean there at address. So I think we would want to get rid of that. Where's the little erase button again, Alan?
The back arrow in the upper left will erase that.
Oh, yeah, I see.
No, so that is, go ahead and grab the video. Yeah, pull that video up again. So that's Maryanne. And Maryanne wanted some help with, it looks like, so the reason why the line gets thicker, Adam, is because you're
because I blew the picture up. I got
correct.
You. Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
But you can see there's a lot of forward lean. Now, it's entirely possible the camera angle is off a bit, but there's no doubt to one degree or another, that ball is too far back in the stance for a driver.
Correct.
She sways a little to the right. The other thing that comes to mind, it's a little difficult to tell the club face, although it looks pretty shut there. It looks pretty much like it's pointed down at the treetops and the ground. There's not much wrist set. See how that right wrist hasn't really hinged? There's a little bit of a sway. So you've got a longish, sort of a decent amount of turn. You could critique one or two things. There's a little armful. But for all that, because there's so little wrist set, backswing's too short. And again, I think that club face is pretty shut.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we're coming down. That thing's looking right down that club face, and the ball's back. Yeah, there's just almost no way to get that thing in the air. So you can kind of see that hiking of that left arm, trying to lift it up a little bit there. So if I go back, can we see me live back up the top left?
If you hit the back arrow and stop the broadcast by hitting that red little circle in the very, very top above the red X, the red circle, that will stop the broadcast. There you go. Now we're back to live.
Okay, so a couple of thoughts here. I mean, one of the things when you're analyzing golf, you know, as a golf coach, I was out there giving golf lessons today. And it's not the same for everyone in every case, but generally you're trying to look for something that's reasonable to implement that would make a difference, that would move the picture forward a little bit. And obviously if someone's somewhat committed, we hope they would be, you can continue to work on that and then maybe add more things as they go. So the first thing that I see, the first two things are really, the club is too de-lofted, it's leaning this way, and the bloody thing's just going to smother the ball like that. The second thing I see, which somewhat relates, is there's just not a lot of wrist hinge. So unless you're, you know, unbelievably quick and strong, you're not going to create enough speed like that anyway to hit the ball well. So first things I would do is move the ball up quite a bit. I would check the grip. It's difficult from that picture to get a sense of it, but we need it certainly, let's say, down in the fingers enough that she can hinge this golf club. And I just practice that right in front of me. Can I get some mobility? And with the ball more forward and a little bit of wrist cock, I think we now, and certainly I think a good wrist cock would probably help the club face. And again, we'd have to check the grip. And we're not looking for perfect club face, but it has to have a reasonable amount of loft. So if she can get this thing hinged a bit where there's some speed, a little bit of loft on the club and the ball forward enough, she's going to have a chance to start to get it in the air and not drag the club so much through there like that. And in terms of the body motion, there's quite a bit of lateral motion this way. To me, that would be a little bit secondary. And in my mind, which often doesn't, as Alan will attest from 20 minutes ago, often doesn't do the right thing. But generally, when a player isn't setting their wrists and they're not creating much centrifugal force, you know, that's got some centrifugal force, they start frequently to drift around. So it would be my hope that once she starts to cock her wrists and get some energy in the golf club, it would begin to, at least to some extent, stabilize the body a little bit. We'd see what happened. But that would be the thinking I would have there.
Yeah.
What's your thinking, Mr. Allen?
She asked about grip, and obviously that's one of the things, you know, to make sure that the grip is not in too strong of a position, which will close the face and prevent some of that hinge. But when I was looking at the videos as they were coming in over the last couple of days, the very first thing that stuck out when I looked at Maryanne's video was ball position, right?
Yeah.
I mean, with the ball position being centered with the driver, combine that with the shut face, it's very hard to launch the ball in the air. And that would be
very hard to get the thing in the air.
Yeah, the very first thing I would do was, is maybe, have some reference on the ground, an alignment rod or whatever, to make sure that we're moving that ball position closer to the lead foot. And there should not need to be an effort to try to help scoop or launch the ball up, right? We want to be able to just
we want to swing the club a little bit.
Correct.
Now, just for everyone's hopefully benefit, if you've got, I'm out on one knee so you can see me on the screen. Here's the theme why you have to hit a little bit down on an iron, depends on the loft, etc., and a little bit up for optimum performance on the drive. First off, the driver's up on a tee, so you can hit up. Yep. The iron, when it has loft and no tee under the ball, we're not trying to smother it and hit way down. We need just enough downward hit to make to hitting the ground. But the theory with the driver is this. They know that in testing, a zero lofted driver compresses the ball, hits it directly on the best. It squashes it, no launch angle, no spin, so it's useless. So you have to have some loft on a driver. But if you can effectively tilt the equator of the ball and by hitting up on it, now you can hit the back of the ball, but still get launch angle and get pressure on it and get it up in the air there. So it's crucial for golfers to be able to hit level to slightly up with the driver. That downward hit just is a tough road.
Yeah, that's the very first thing I would do is work on ball position, Maryanne. So let's go on to the next one here. Let's go back.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, let's do the screen share again, and then we'll
Okay, we're gonna go
start broadcast again.
Go up broadcast.
Yeah.
1-0. Let's bring the swings up, and we're going for this one.
Second one there.
Edit, right?
Yep. And the second one there, that is.
And there he is, right there. Let's blow him up a little bit. So there's another driver here.
Yep, this is Jan Otting, and so you can go ahead and roll that through. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ball's too far back there. It's not as far back as it was, in the previous swing, but I think it's a little too far back there. Let's have a look. It's difficult with the one angle to really see a lot about the plane. You can kind of tell the face is a little bit shut there. Now, what I like about this swing, it has wonderful lag. Nice straight left arm. Lag just means the shaft is trailing the left arm. There's that big bend in the wrist. You can create a lot of power there. But what I'm seeing here more than anything is there's a tendency to get too squashed down there at the top. It's like, let's say, just too squashed down. The club's too close to the body a little bit there. And the body's a little squashed down into the left side. So what it looks like happens, it looks to me like how do I erase that without, I just hit that back arrow there?
No, not the white back arrow, the smaller arrow. You'll see there's the drop down on the four,
Yep.
And hit the one that'll clear the screen there on the left-hand side of the screen.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I see then is he's obviously a very athletic guy, but you can see the body really rising a little bit there. Yep. And as the body rises, a little bit of which is okay, you start to see a little bit more flip in the hands, looks very up in the hips and up in the body. So to my way of thinking, let me go back then. So let's go back to this, and I hit the stop button there.
Stop broadcast.
So we're back live again.
Yeah.
Again, a little difficult to tell plane and club face. So we got someone that's very dynamic, lots of lag, nice straight left arm. Okay, they push up a little too much. You'd see a bit of that with the driver. But to me, because what's the chap's name again?
That was Jan.
This golfer here is who?
Jan.
Jan, okay. So because Jan, and I'm going to exaggerate, gets a little too squashed for the body, the club gets too close, there's just not enough space. He's having to go up there a little bit. I'd like to see the ball more forward. I'd like to see the pivot where there's more extension is anything that's lengthening the body. If you look at it from here, now we're not trying to stand up, but if my head was still, but I was reaching for the ceiling fan and getting longer a little bit here, not folding my wrist as much, and I'll exaggerate a touch, but more that look. There's more space, more width, more length. The ball's more forward. I think this guy's a good athlete. He could play, but he wouldn't have to create so much space here and flip it like that. He could get through it a little bit more.
And I have a question. So the one thing I would add, could you go back and demonstrate show me can you back up from the camera? Because I want, when you showed me what you saw him doing at the top of the swing, right?
Sort of leaning down into this left hip,
squash
there.
Adam, where is your left shoulder relative to your right foot there? It's not anywhere near it, correct?
No.
And then when you want somebody to rotate their torso and reach behind them, what happens to that left shoulder?
Yeah, so the left shoulder is going to move under the chin and certainly more over the inside of the back leg. We're going to get a little bit more length like that, less topple and squash. The club's going to be farther out. If you picture, guys and gals, if an airplane's coming in to land at that angle, you're going to blow up and dig a hole in the runway. So you have to then really shallow it out. This is what this golf swing looks like. Creates too much angle, has to create space coming down. If we can create, as you say, Alan, more behind the ball, more space, more length, now you have a much shallower landing, plus the ball's more forward, shallows it more, and we can really commit to a good move through the ball.
Yeah.
But that is a pretty talented swing right there. That's got potential.
Yeah, no, he can move and he can rotate. I think we just need to change his priority and intentions around what he is doing with the torso. When he gets to the top of his backswing, for me, I'm trying to get him to get his left shoulder, what I would refer to as a little deeper in the backswing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will clean up a lot of what's going on the forward swing.
Yep, I agree. Create a bit of that. Hey, just a as we go comment here. I worked for David Leadbetter, famous coach, for 15 years or so, back in the day, the early 90s to the mid, 2005-6 time. So I was around a lot of top-notch players then because David was coaching them. And I'm telling you, these golfers at that level, they used to have these big mirrors on the driving range at David's academies. Rarely, especially Faldo, rarely would they come out of the video room. They wouldn't go to the mirror, just work on stuff a little bit. The whole key is so often people say, and they're right to say it, hey, I'm a feel player. What they really mean is don't teach me any technique because I want to just not think. But in actual fact, everybody has to be a field player, right? I mean, you don't have a K vest on and force plates when you're playing golf. But here's the key. You need to know what the better movement patterns feel like to you. So what you have to do is you have to, like what Alan was saying, okay, let's work on this pivot. Well, what does that feel like to me? How does the ball look to me now? And so you map something in a bit, get at least somewhat familiar with it. No question, when you go to belt the ball at full speed, there's some leftover habit. But if you don't do that, and most people don't, it's just, if they even get feedback from a video camera or a trusted coach, it's just go to the range and hit at full speed, hanging on the outcome every time. In other words, if I don't hit a good shot, I'm not getting better. Well, the more that kind of pressure you put on yourself, the more instinctive you become. You can take the best player in the world and stick them on the first tee of the Ryder Cup. You can forget what they're working on because they're going to get instinct at that point. So if all you do is trying to hit good shots, you can have some fun that way, but it's not going to help you. You've got to get the feel for what you're doing. And you have to have feedback, and a mirror is great. I would say a camera to diagnose, but a mirror is great. Yeah. Then you take the feel and go try to work on it.
Correct. And I think what I try to instill in my students is that you could have somebody working on the exact same thing, 3 different players, and those 3 players can have 3 different ways that they process or identify what they're trying to do, right? And this is what I tell people, like, so many people are so caught up in trying to create perfect positions, right? I will tell, like, we're not trying to create postcards, but they look at themselves on video and they go, but I'm not doing whatever. And I will be like, but you just hit a perfect golf shot. You just hit it as good as you can hit it. What did that feel like to you? Once you have the feel of what it is that you are trying, that gets you the desired outcome, and you know what that feels like to you, that is what we focus on. Yeah. And if the positions are a little bit off from a technical standpoint, it's not a beauty contest. That's my
for sure.
Right. There's a lot of golf swings out there that are not technically perfect, that those players have made a lot of money over the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as long as you can get in a good spot to hit the ball. Yeah, I don't think I'd break 85 with Fred Couples' first half of his backswing and his grip.
No.
But I'm not Fred Couples. That's the problem.
That's exactly the point.
It's funny, a little anecdote here. I used to work with this guy in Central Florida a long time, in the late 1980s. And this guy, he's a little bit older than me, 2-3 years. He was a tremendous player. He was elite. And he grew up playing junior golf against Fred in Seattle. They played a lot against him. Jeff was 1 year older than Fred. So this is probably now, Jeff's about 30 when we had this conversation. I said, what was Fred's big star on tour now? So I said, what was Fred's game like then? Jeff was a real a real cool West Coast guy. He said, well, he said kind of crappy grip, kind of crappy backswing, and hits it like 310 yards right where he's looking. He said kind of the same as it is now. That's right.
Yeah,
I thought that was a good one.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one here. And
all right, let's see what we can do. And I'm looking for start broadcast.
Yep.
We practiced this the other day, and I was getting good at it, and then
You're
I
good.
shanked the button.
And then edit.
Edit. And here we go. Okie dokie. Who have we got here?
This is Charlotte. Charlotte with a
That's a
drive.
good looking golf course right there, right?
Yeah, it is. And
so Charlotte, I like that ball position more.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, we'll nitpick a couple of things. I'll tell you what, though, that's, it's not bad. The left arm's nice and straight. There's wrist angle. I'd bet dimes to dollars that club's coming sufficiently from the inside over there. The club face looks pretty good. Probably a hair shot, but pretty good. That is a good look, though.
Yep.
She must have hit the heel here because you can see the face. By the way, have a look at that club face there. Now, if you look, folks, the club face looks pretty good there, right? Certainly doesn't look closed there, and it looks dramatically closed there. You hear so much, and there's an element of truth in it about how today's clubs are designed to be ultra stable through contact and, whatever, help miss hits. Take a look. Does that look ultra stable? I don't care how strong you are. You hit that ball more than 1.5 inches off center, that club's going to twist violently. That's what people love so much when they hit a flush shot and they say, didn't even feel the ball. There's zero twist when you hit the middle of the club, so you don't get any reverberations up the shaft. That's a pretty decent swing right there. And, one of the things I'm wondering, if you look, it's very tucked in and low with the right arm there. So the arm swing gets short. Yeah. And it kind of corresponds with the left there. It gets very low and tucked in there. I would like to see.
It's very shallow.
Almost tucked to the point she's leaning into her front foot a little bit too. So good plane, and then it just dies off there. I mean, I would like to see, let's go back here a little bit, and we'll stop that. To me, she could also use a little bit different pivot than the one we were just looking at, but I still think it gets a little bent almost to the target. And I think this right arm just folds and gets too compressed and too flat here like that. And it's not allowing for enough motion and space. So this is a golf swing. We had that first one, the lady 3 swings ago, had hardly any wrist motion, didn't create. This one's got a good amount of it and a good amount of that, but it doesn't really have much freedom in the arm swing either side. So I think if in this golf swing, okay, the right arm's definitely going to fold for the right-handed player, but it shouldn't be stuck to the ribs. If she felt like she got more height in her hands, I'm exaggerating a little bit here, like I'm trying to put my knuckles up on the roof there, create some length and some height in the swing, and kind of mirror image that, let her head stay back a bit and get those arms up in the air again, get that left arm to swing up and through and marry those two up. I think she has some good stuff going on there with the wrist cock and what appears to me to be a good plane, not having that camera angle. I think she'd get more power and more freedom. Yeah, the basis of the golf swing, I think, is very good, but it's very shallow, low and around the waist, right? So a little bit more tucked width here and then kind of higher, tucked there. Higher, not much length and height and space. Yep, 100%. She's a dose of Fred Couples there. Yeah. All right, let's go to the here. Let's go to the next one here. Let's start the broadcast again. We'll pull up the next one here. If any questions, just shout them out or text them out or however that works. Yep, there's a chat box down the bottom for everybody. Yep, start the broadcast. There we go. And I think we're to this one. Is this the one we're at? Down the line, yep, right here. In his garage, which nice. Yeah, this is good camera angle too. That's a pure camera. Just for people's, all these references you so often see, especially swing plane, if that camera isn't relatively straight back, you really miss some stuff. So I would encourage, see where that red line is? I would encourage people to put a shaft or a stick on the ground between the feet and the ball, line that camera up with this at about, the kind of height this one is. I think you'd get a lot more benefit out of your filming when you do that. So let's have a look. He's not a bad look. No, he's in a very good position there. Yeah, a little bit across it, but not bad at all. Shallows it fairly well, though. Yep. That's a decent look. Run it all the way through, though. You'll see something right there. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the weight's hanging back a little bit there. Yeah. One of the things I notice if you look at this swing, let's say, okay, let's try that line a little closer there. There is definitely quite a bit of movement towards the ball there coming down. Quite a bit of space that's opened up here.
And to
Like
me,
so.
when that happens, when your center line like that, we refer to as the center of mass, moves towards the ball, the hand path is going to be affected.
Yeah, it generally is. They kind of wipe in across the body a little bit there. I mean, to me, when I look at that position there, here's the club is a little too far over here. I think that right arm's too folded or too near the hip here. That makes the shoulder turn a bit flat. And what I see happening a bit here is the club gets inside. You can kind of see it's in there. And this gets a little too level. The natural reaction is to go this way, and it crosses the line a little bit.
Yep.
Now, a little bit you can do. Bobby Jones crossed the line, was pretty good, but that looks a little narrow here. For the length of that, if he'd gone all the way to parallel, that thing would be pointed there.
Correct.
So it's across the line, and what we're able to do here, because this is actually fairly athletic, most people would just come over the top from there, but he's able to drop it in there pretty well. Now, if I go back to here.
And that was Jerry, by the way. Thanks.
Okay, Jerry. Now,
this
is at least what I think is happening. Again, we're down in front of you, and I'll exaggerate. When your right arm gets too low and the club gets behind you, this gets a little flat. Your natural reaction is to cross the line. But you, unlike most people, Jerry, have enough wherewithal to drop the club in. But it's very common when someone drops the club in that they start to lose their body angles this way, because it actually helps drop the club in. And so, I mean, it's not ideal, but I think, to me, if you think of your arms as a big triangle here, and that stayed a little more intact, that right arm, and I watch most great players, okay, it's beginning to fold, but there's a lot more space here. Yours is too low, too far in, and that's what's dragging the club behind you. So I would like to see, again, I don't know the grip or whatever, your posture looks good, but not any big space here, but the right arm more structured, more tilt across the arms and shoulders, the club more in front of you. So at the top, it was a little wider and more laid off, less kind of this way. Because I think from there, you wouldn't need all this shallowing. You could just go ahead and hit the thing and turn in there, keep your body angles a little bit more. That's kind of the general flavor I see.
Before we go to the, if you want to start bringing up the next one, as you're doing that, I'll answer. There's a couple questions on the screen I'll address right now. But
I see a comment from Carlo. Let's go. I know Carlo.
Yep.
Thanks, Carlo.
Don had asked a question about topping the golf ball. He said he hadn't done that forever. And I think that, topping the golf ball can be caused by many things. But one of the things you talked about, Adam, if it's across all clubs, there's obviously, and I got my giant club here, right? There's obviously there's not enough forward shaft lean when that happens, right? There's no angle.
Frequently.
And I will tell you this, 9 times out of 10 in my experience in doing this for over 30 years, it's generally because people are not transferring weight. If you're a right-handed golfer, they're hanging back on the right-hand side, and then there's no forward shaft lean and they end up topping the golf ball. That, again, that would be my,
Yeah, so one of the things that Alan's saying is if the ball's my watch, if the shaft's leaning backwards, by definition, the club head's rising. And when it rises, it hits the middle of the ball. That's a little exaggerated. Yeah. One of the jobs of the golf instructor, and I must say, David Leadbetter's always been so nice to me. I used to take lessons from him a bit in the 80s when he was affordable for a guy like me. Then when he became really big and I'd failed as a player, he was nice enough to hire me. And he's been very nice to me. I worked for him for 15 years. He's come to in other words, I know David really well. And I watched him a lot over the years. And one of the things that he is terrific at, that I think any really good teacher at, he's a really good instinctive cause and effect kind of teacher. In other words, okay, well, let's make this broad for anybody that's watching this. Ultimately, okay, Jim Furyk doesn't have a good looking backswing, has a really good looking impact, so the ball doesn't grade his backswing, right? A little bit easier to do with the uniform backswing. But ultimately, if you're not improving someone's impact, could be shaft lean to compress the ball, hit the ball first, could be squaring the club face more effectively to get rid of the slice, could be swing path, more speed, whatever it is. If that isn't getting better, and it may not get better the first lesson when you work on the grip, but if there isn't a plan to get that better, you're kind of spinning your wheels. If it's just making stuff look better, but it really isn't connected to that. And I never really saw David do anything in a golf lesson, and he would try to do the least he could, that wasn't ultimately clearly aimed at an improvement in impact habits. So in other words, I mean, okay, John Rahm has a grip like this, but he can supinate and square the club. Most people couldn't. So if you've got a weak grip and an open face, you're pretty much bound to slap it or scoop it just to keep the ball online. So the grip improvement would lead to a better impact. And I think a couple of these things we've looked at, you know, we had, was it Jim with the driver this way and had to go that way? Well, we don't want him going this way at impact. So if the ball's forward and he has more space, that starts to get better. And I just want to encourage you. I mean, maybe you see Alan in Massachusetts, or you can see me in Southwest Florida, but whoever's teaching you, try to push to get them to describe to you, if they can, hey, if you did this and this, you wouldn't have to do that.
Right.
Or if you did more of this, we could do more of that. So in other words, hey, I'm working on something. Maybe I'm not working on impact yet, but I'm headed somewhere specific that's going to improve my ball strength. That to me, cause and effect, and selling it to the person, staying on message is the key to effective golf instruction.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that there's I think students have to understand, I try to get my clients to understand there's a time and a place to be able to introduce certain things to the swing, and you can't do it all at once, right? There has to be, you have to be working on the right things at the right time, and you will improve. And the other thing is, I think that the retention in learning is greater when people understand the why. What is the
absolutely?
You just can't tell somebody, well, you know, you need to change your, like if I tell somebody to make a grip change, I'm going to explain to them what the grip change is going to do.
Yeah.
That way, because anytime we make a grip change, if we're going from weak to strong, which is most common, right? They're a little bit too weak. We want to get them a little stronger. They're always going to revert back, right? I tell people, I said, I'm going to change your grip, and you're not going to like me for the first 2 weeks because it's going to feel terrible, right? But you will love me forever. Once you get past that 2-week period, then you will love me. But if they understand that the weak grip causes a fade, and they see the ball starting to fade, then they know that, hey, I need to pay attention to that. So
Andrew Rice, my buddy, you know, Andrew, as a saying, change your grip, lose a friend. That's always one of his sayings.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's necessary. Now, I think if you talk to any one of elite players I know, and I coach a few, I mostly coach everyday golfers, or certainly David's. Let's say you said to Nick Price, you know, back in the day, hey, what's the deal with your game? All of them in 3 sentences or so could tell you their tendencies. Price would have said, I get the face too shut and the club too steep. Then I over shallow it and I get a little bit stuck. Or Charles Howell would have said something. If you're not, as a golfer, at the end of a couple sessions with someone, able to say, in the broadest brush terms, I get the club too far. But look, for instance, we just looked at one. I get the club too far behind me. That makes me lift it up, and that makes me kind of go this way to hit it. You should be able to sort of say that. And one other comment I'd make, you know, I've got YouTube videos out there. A million people have YouTube videos. And some of the YouTube videos out there are really good, but you have to be discerning. I don't care who you are. You're going to fiddle a little bit and experiment and try to do stuff. But if you know where you're fiddling, in other words, if I've got high blood pressure, there might be 6 low blood pressure medicines that would be helpful. But if I don't have high blood pressure, don't touch them. So if you know what your pattern is, you can go to YouTube and say, hey, let's look at a drill that would help me get behind the ball and make a good pivot, et cetera, et cetera. And you'll have fun experimenting and actually make progress if you do that. So get your coach to do that for you.
When you were talking about high blood pressure medication, one of the greatest.
I actually gave Alan high blood pressure about 40 minutes ago.
It's all good. It's all good.
I really did.
I'm decompressing now. But one of the greatest analogies that I ever heard was from one of our partners and one of the coaches, Mark Blackburn, right?
Yeah.
So, and Mark is in Alabama. And Mark, when he was being interviewed, I think it was by Golf Digest, they asked him, what do you think about the videos and, and online instruction and people trying to self-help by watching that? And he said, he goes, when I walk into a pharmacy, there's a lot of really good drugs behind the counter. It doesn't mean that I should be taking them all at the same time.
Well, that's true.
Understanding what you should be taking and when you should be taking is what a good coach will do for you. And that's why it's, trying to self-diagnose and self-help, because the other thing is that fear lies. Right? People think that they're doing one thing, and without proper feedback, they can get going down a rabbit hole that is just not where you want to be. So before we go to the next one, Keith has a question. When I try to move forward, when I try to do more forward shaft lean, I tend to hit it off the heel. Why is that? He's asking.
Oh, it's hard to say without seeing it, but I have seen that phenomenon a little bit. And what sometimes happens to me, I mean, somehow or other, the club's getting too far away from you, right? I mean, that I'm hardly Isaac Newton. He probably has a law about that, but that's for sure. And sometimes when I see people really try to keep the shaft bent, they get their right arm a little too jammed and they force this thing out too much. The best players in the world, although the trail arm loads a bit there, that arm gets pretty long and in front of them as they hit. So the wrist is bent, but the arm isn't all jammed up. And when you do it properly, you'll get less space and you'll actually be nearer your leg. Golf club's nearer to you. So I bet it's that. Try to get this arm longer while still feeling some wrist pressure.
So positioning, right? If you could demonstrate for me, Adam, what you were just doing, when down the line, can you do a swing for me to down the line? You set up.
If you swing or my swing.
If you move your hands excessively forward, right, with the shaft, and they move away from you, right, and the shaft that'll put it in the heel. What happens to your right hip when you do that? It moves.
Well, it probably moved forward a little bit there too. Right. Yeah.
And where should it be? And where should it be going?
Well, I think David Leadbetter used to have this nice drill. He used to have a wall behind people. This is a practice drill, and I'll get this way. Top of the backswing, they're only touching with that, right?
Yep.
Coming down, he wanted them to gently slide so that both cheeks were touching about here. Then the right would come off. So it's a little more sort of lateral, right hip staying deeper a little bit there, and then pow, through you go like that. But if that's an issue with people have.
But that right hip is not moving towards the ball, there's a rotational movement where the pelvis is turned.
I would say it's moving, the hips are moving this way, and then they kind of go around a little bit. Yeah. And one thing to bear in mind for people as we throw our 70th top tip, this is biomechanically proven in a great player. Certainly the hips elite, that loads the shaft, it shifts the weight. It's critical to any athletic movement such as golf. But once you've done that, they've more or less done their job. Doesn't mean they stop, but they stabilize, decelerate, the whip comes into the golf club. They don't just keep ripping and turning and moving like that. Load it and then crack the whip a little bit is what you're trying to do.
Correct.
Not just turn your hips along.
Yeah. It almost sounds to me like maybe there's a little bit excessive attempt to try to create that lean and stalls out the turn.
That could be getting out here and creating too much space like that.
Let's see if we can't get to a couple more. And for anybody who sent in video that we don't get to tonight, if we run out of time, we will do it we'll do it post live stream, and we'll make sure that they get their videos analyzed. And we appreciate sending it. So if we don't get to it live, we'll make sure we get to it after the fact. But let's go ahead and pull up another one here.
Okay. All right. We'll start this. And the library, and I think we're to this one.
One in the middle, yep.
Yeah, here, is that right?
Yep, this is...
All righty. So we've got a...
Yeah, Joe's in Montana.
And a nice knee brace.
Yeah, he actually sent in, Adam, a comment, says, I fade and slice too much, shoulders are open, feet are closed.
Okay.
And I can aim to the right field, take a strong grip for a draw, but have lost distance in my driving in doing so. And he is open for sure and gets across the line, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think, what I would say, barring a ton of flexibility and talent, when your right arm gets that high and the club's over the top of your head over here, it's all sort of bunched in. I mean, if you picture just for a second, really, the golf club's designed this way. We want to be more in this area at the top, not necessarily on that line, but more over here to get this way. And a couple of thoughts I would have. Now, clearly, Joe is talented. Most people, that's pretty steep right there. That club's right at the back of the neck. But Joe's able to drop it in there pretty well. That's better than most people who do that. Face gets a little open when that happens. Looks like he hit that one off the toe. It's actually pretty athletic through the ball. I think what I would say, let's look one more time here. Right arm drags a little in, a little bit like that previous swing, maybe not as much. Club's a little flat. Then it makes its journey a little bit this way as we finish the backswing. So I think what I would try to feel here, let's go back to
Live screen, yep.
me here in the office. I think there's a lot of power to be gained with depth in the backswing, at the top of the backswing. When the club's more there, it's farther from the ball than when it's here. Does that make sense?
Yes,
And
it
you
does.
can, I'm not saying to you, Alan, but to people, and you can create a lot of centrifugal force if you have a nice clean circle, a lot of speed. Once this club starts to change planes and reroute like that, unless you're unbelievably flexible and athletic like the couples, it's just hard to make that work a little bit. So I think especially for a thicker bodied person, see if you had someone that, let's say, is a 17-year-old lady star golfer who's 5 feet 8 and 110 pounds, well, they're just like a big string beanpole. They need some length and height in their arm swing, and they're so skinny, they could get way up here and drop it in pretty easily. It's not as easy for someone more our age or of a thicker body style to do that. So what I see, the club gets in a little bit here, a little bit like the swing of a couple of minutes ago, then it gets a bit bunched and a bit over the head, but he's athletic enough, Joe, right? He's athletic enough to kind of drop it in here, but it looks to me when he drops it in, he leaves that face open a bit. He's losing speed doing that.
Yeah.
So I think we got to keep, again, the right arm a little more structured and on top of the club in the takeaway so the club doesn't get here, and really try to keep that width. This swing should be shorter, wider, flatter. He's a big, strong guy. He doesn't need all this stuff at the top. He needs to be wider and use his coil, keep that right hand away from him. I think that would get the club on a much better plane.
Agreed.
From which, not only could he create more speed, but he could release the club. If any of you have ever played tennis, and I have many decades ago, if you're going to hit a topspin, you're going to roll the face, you're going to have the racket over here coming in. If you got the racket there, the only shot you can really hit is a cut shot. So this is where I think the slice is coming from, steep this way and just cutting it.
Agreed. Agreed. All right, let's see if we can get in a couple more here. Let's go to the next one here.
Next one?
Yeah, we're coming up to quarter of, so we probably won't get through all the ones that we had preloaded, but as I said, we'll make sure that we take care
All
of
right,
it
let's have a look.
back here.
This is a serious golfer right here. He's filming himself out in his own little range. I love it. It's difficult to tell grips without being there. That one looks
Adam, you got to go back out and share the screen first before we do.
Sorry.
That's okay.
You know, me just talking about what I'm looking at and nobody else can see it.
Yep. There we go.
I can do that.
Yep.
How are we doing?
Yeah. Yep. So this is face on view. He's got his own setup in the backyard there. This is.
I love the setup in the backyard. Yeah. Whose swing is this?
This is Jim Denkert.
Jim. There we go. Well, it's, you know, there's very little wrist set. You watch the head topple towards, might be a little too much leaning towards the target at the start. Watch the head topple towards that tree trunk in the backswing. See the upper body tilt towards the target?
Yep.
There's almost no wrist set out here. Let me touch my little button here. There's going to be a thick line, but there's almost no wrist set. So he's toppling that way instinctively to get the club up in the air because to me, the wrists aren't working properly. The golfers are amazing at how they instinctively, through trial and error, compensate for issues they have and make some sort of workable product. So you can see he's not really coiling enough. There's a lot of lean that way in the body. That's helping get the arms up. Still not enough wrist cock. But the obvious return of that is there's going to be a bit of a tilt backwards. Now you see the body raise back up and it winds up being what looks like a bit of an early release there going through. So let's go back to here. So in a nutshell, as David used to like to say, this is a golf swing that's got a lean to lift the club up and then a backward lean, which is a tough way to play. Colin Montgomery is maybe the only guy I've seen that he had a few other things he did well, but so I think one of the things here we could get probably slightly more bump behind the ball, bump the hips this way. Definitely going to have to check the grip because these wrists just aren't hinging. And we've got to feel more that we get the club up with wrist cock, not with tilt so much. So the idea is the body coils, the arms swing a little bit, and the wrist hinge. But in failure, in absence of that hinge, it appears that the instincts are to just lift the arms and topple the body. And as I say, you know, the reaction to that is almost always a backup reaction.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's really a classic case of a little bit of a reverse pivot. And whenever that happens, you start to, in your words, to topple towards the target. The hands get working up and away from the body. There's some disconnect there. You know, for me, the very first thing I would, if if I was working with Jim, I would have him do rotational drills and just work on getting that left. Yeah, 100% get the, yes.
Get that.
Yep. Yep.
Wake these wrists up so you can get the club up without doing this so much. Yeah.
Yeah. I go to Lowe's or Home Depot a lot. I buy a lot of 3/4 inch, 60-inch PVC pipe. I give it to my students and I tell them, leave it near your desk, leave it somewhere in your home or your office where you're going to walk by it, and just work on proper rotational movements and get that left shoulder back towards that right foot. You do that 15, 20 times a day, every day. At the end of the week, by the time you get to the golf course, you'll be turning better, and you didn't even have to go to the golf course.
You know, something building upon what Alan said, that then we get to another swing before. Did you see the Happy Gilmore 2 movie? Did you see that?
I did, yes.
You see the one where Trevino, Nicholas, and Faldo, the older guys, they fall asleep on the couch at the end when they go to that's pretty fun. Hopefully, I'm not having the same effect on all our viewers here.
No, but, everybody's we still get questions are piling in, and everybody's
okay.
So that's good.
An interesting part of the human brain, not that I know this, but there is if you have kids, most of us probably have kids, once they can walk a bit, they're a little unstable and they don't look like Olympic athletes, but with no coaching over a period of time, everything smooths out. And it's a natural sort of homeostasis. The body likes to be in balance, and the brain has an incredible gift for coordinating motor programs. If you reach for a cup, you won't do this and then reach, and you just enough. And when you practice your golf swing or your pivot regularly in front of the mirror, just a minute or two here and there, you will be amazed how everything begins to become fluid and start to look good. But if you don't do that, if it's just hitting at times, you undersell that. I mean, you just don't take advantage of that genius of the mind when it's always under pressure to hit the ball well at full speed and doesn't get the chance to work on stuff.
Yeah, feel the movement and then get out of your own way, right? Just stop.
Alan and I have a mirror business, by the way. So we're just kidding. A little side business here. So let's go here.
Yeah, we only have a couple more. I think we can do this before the top of the hour and take care of everyone here. The next one is next one, the gentleman there with the white bucket hat. Yeah, that's Lester.
And here we go, Lester. Let's have a look. Lots of drivers today.
Yeah, Lester's in Houston, which is where our Golf Live is.
Oh, is it? Hey, Lester, I'm doing a little half-day mini school in Houston at Atascocita in a couple of weeks. If there's somewhere you can reach out to me, I'll get you some info if you have any interest. We'll see how much damage I do to your swing here first. Okay, arms look a little pushed into the body. Shoulders look a little pushed up in. Club face looks a little hooded, a little turned in. Probably, I like the ball position. Probably for a driver, the stance could be wider. If you got, let me get my little drawing tool here. If you got the right foot a little wider, it would put your head a little more behind the ball. But the ball position looks fine there, I think. Let's see. It's not too bad. That's more the coil we've been looking for. Yeah. From some of these other folks. That is a nice look there. So let's see here. End of the backswing, fairly good.
Yeah, he shallows it.
Yeah, he's got a shallow. The face is maybe a hair shut, but that's not a bad thing. Good lag. I think that's the camera. The club isn't flexing that much. Some of these low shutter speed, that happens in these. Well, I'll tell you what, that's not bad.
Yeah. He turns through it. He turns through it pretty well. And his question was that, he's trying to increase club head speed. Aren't we all, right? So, I think.
Well, look at that position there. Okay, there's your body. Your arms are reasonably extended. It's not bad. I think the look you'll see with long drivers and long hitters of the ball sometimes. Let's go. Oh, I'm just going to get. Oh, yeah, come on again.
Yeah, you're back to live.
You will generally see the head not staying down, but staying fairly steady, and more release of the club. You'll see the hips extend, which basically means a hip thrust. You'll see more of this look. Yours looks a little bit more sort of bent with the arms forward and a bit this way. That isn't really the way to create speed. If you picture this, if you had a golf club and you were on the range with somewhat of a golf swing, maybe a foot above the ground, you just had to throw it as far as you could with approximately, you probably wouldn't throw it this way. You'd probably throw it this way.
Correct.
A little more extension, a little more rip of the club, so the club's working away from you a little bit more. I think I would rehearse that. A little more, get a video of Ben Hogan, he'll look more like that.
Yeah, I think turning through onto his lead side is where, and this is just when I see somebody who gets really short at the bottom like that and near impact. I think a lot of times what, in my experience, is that there is a large attempt to hit at the ball.
Could be, yeah.
Rather than just continuing to turn.
Just rip the thing out there and get it going.
And to feel that, one of the things that I'm a big fan of, and I try to get and this is how I warm up, and I try to get my students to do, the first thing you do when you go to the range is to take a gap wedge or a pitching wedge and try to hit 10 or 12 shots 50 yards. Just to feel rhythm, just to feel like we're not trying to hit it hard. We're just trying to get the body moving. And I think a lot of people, I mean, how many times do you hear people say, oh, I was trying to lay up on that shot. I wasn't trying to hit it hard, and I hit it further than I normally do.
Yeah,
right?
Sometimes you do. Hit it more solidly, with a little more fluidly, exactly. Right. A lot of times what happens to people, when they think I want to hit it hard, and who doesn't want to do it occasionally, but when I think I want to hit it hard, the instinct, which is not the correct one, is to tighten up and create more effort this way. You need 100%. Elastic, longer, more fluid muscles to snap speed into the club. So this is a pretty light object right here. So that's sort of what we're looking at. Regards that setup, by the way, it just looked a little pulled in, shoulders up, face a bit shut. I'd get that down, get those arms a bit longer, widen the stance, get a little more loft on the club at address. I think those things would help you release it. Yeah. Got another question or anything?
No. Jim said great advice, and Joe also.
Well, thank you, Keith. That's a kind comment.
And yeah, Keith had said this is his favorite stream to date. Thank you, Keith. Joe, thanks you for his feedback. Jim, thank you. We have two more here that we can do before the top of the hour.
You want me to do a swing?
Yeah, let's do. We got two more, and then we can wrap after that. But we'll get to all these. This will be great, and we still have a full audience watching here, so we have not. Yeah, we have not put anybody to sleep. So
annoyed anyone beyond measure. Let's see. Who's this?
This is Colin York, and he said, I would be interested in the insights into swing plane and tempo. Several people have called my swing quick, and he says, I don't really know what they mean. So.
Well, it's hard to say in this format how quick it might be. I think, one of the things I would say, we'll talk about in a minute, but one of the things, we want fluid, not necessarily slow. So it doesn't get flows and is fluid and the sequence is good. I mean, I think John Rahm's swing is pretty darn quick, but it has fluidity, it flows, that's a darn good position right there, by the way.
Yes, it is.
This is a little wide and away from you there, but so was Greg Norman, Jack Nicklaus. I'm okay with that plane.
Yeah,
I think you got a pretty good swing plane there.
Yeah. I don't think swing plane is an issue.
I mean, whatever problems Elon Musk may have, money isn't one of them. And for you, whatever problems you have, swing plane and club face isn't among them. I'm telling you, that is top notch.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now you're getting a little jumpy with your legs and your hips are maybe just crowding the ball a little bit there. I think, okay, here's a couple of comments, and this is fairly minor. I think your turn is a little too flat. Your hips are a little flat. Your knees a bit flat. Obviously, it's a driver. And when you come down, now it looks like you're running out of space a little bit. You're starting to kind of sit up on your knees. There's just not a lot of space under here. So you're losing your body angles a little bit. That plane is really good, though, I think. And getting a little jammed in there with your right arm. A little bit jammed there. That's pretty good, though.
Yeah, he puts the club on the ball.
Yeah, he gets the club on this very athletic, body's rotated, arms are long. He supports the shaft. It's really good. I think what I would probably do, let me go out of here for a second. And this is somewhat, okay, this is, I say somewhat minor, but in the backswing pivot, we are on an angle. So if you pictured me pivoting on this angle, you can see there's still a little bit belt tilt and shoulder tilt. Maybe when you stretch your arms a bit there, you start to get a little too level with your turn, so a little less stretch. I do these pivots, but from this angle, still pivoting freely, but a little steeper shoulders, a little steeper hips, still getting behind the ball. I think when you get a little too level and your knees get underneath you, your right arm's getting a little jammed. My guess is when you're timing things, you can play like a bugger and you can shoot some low scores, but you start to get fickle with your timing a little bit because of some of those movements. That's what I would try to feel.
And I'd be willing to bet that his perception of being quick is you know, at the bottom of the swing right before impact when he does get jammed up.
Yeah.
He's trying to find space and release the club, and
could very well be. I think that's a very fair.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good to him, right? Even though he's.
It actually, I think Alan brings up a tremendous point. Many times, you know, if you see the equivalent with chipping with a bit of a flinch or the full swing and jump or hitting, the subconscious is sensing I'm running out of opportunity to hit the ball. I'm getting stuck, and is instinctively trying to help out. And that's an excellent point, and that could certainly be the source of it, that probably if your body angles were better, may not be so much. The best question tonight gets that Amen Corner hat of Alan's, by the way. That's the prize. Actually, it's not. It's not up for sale.
I'll tell you what, we can certainly get some Golf Live swag to him if they get some good questions in here. So we got one more.
Got some nice comments. That's very kind, guys.
Yeah, as we get to the top of the hour, we got one more swing.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do this last one. This is actually a lefty. Steve came in. This one came in. Hey, there you go.
We charge extra for lefties. No, we don't.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Are we sharing? All right, let's see. Yeah, maybe a little top heavy with the posture. It's almost like he's a little sort of out over the toes a touch with the head stuck up in the air a bit to kind of compensate for it. To me, again, the club's getting too, let me get my line here. The club's getting too flat here. It's pointed well above the ball. And I think that's happening much like a couple of folks earlier. There's too much action in the club head. The left arm is folding and the left arm's too near this hip over here, and it's getting the club flat. Let's see what happens after that. Yeah, now he's starting to stand up a little bit. I think it looks like the arms have probably overswung. Left arm's gotten a little behind him. It's actually a pretty good position for the shaft in the face, though. We would take that.
If you run this all the way through, he's going to tell you where the ball went. He had a reaction afterwards where he turns back to the camera and he tells you the shape of the shot.
Now look at the, oh, he does. Okay, look at the little yardage marker right back here. Okay, see that thing there?
Yep.
So let's say I've lost my ability to move them. Where's the swing mover?
Right there. Yep.
Oh, there it is. Okay, that was a really nice job there. All right, so watch that little yardage sign. See how much encroached on that is? Now he really looks like he's running out of space and getting crowded there. The hips have really moved forward. The body stood up a lot. And usually when that happens, the golfer's going to have to really roll their hands and flip it a little bit to get to the ball. Follow through is pretty upright there. So I think what we'd like to see here, what I would like to see here, let's go back here for a second. I think this just needs, and I don't mean this honestly in a critical sense, but some swings almost, I don't know anything about computers, as Alan can readily attest based on my 545 performance before the show when I almost tanked the whole thing. But some computers, apparently you have a factory reset button. You lose data, but is that right? But you get everything back to running order. This looks like he's got some talent, but he just needs a bit of a factory reset. So I'd be a little bit less top heavy, head in the air. I think the top heavy is leading to this sort of a thing here. I think we try to feel that the arms stay a little more structured. Obviously, I'm right-handed. We cannot get that thing behind so much. So with the weight here and the club getting back, now he's getting stuck and having to change balance a little bit. And just trying to get everything a little bit more in balance, a little more structured. So the balance would be better, less top-heavy. The club would stay wider and in front of him. I would be willing to bet this trail arm's getting stuck way back there. Nice, short, wide backswing. And really, if the arms are in front of him with a nice clean path and the balance is better, he's got some athleticism. It would be interesting to see how much more repeatable that impact is. But when he's getting this way and sort of flipping it, it's just a tough go. So I would certainly work on balance and posture a little bit and takeaway.
Yeah, so you made a comment about, you know, the stand up and the flip, and so into that point, when I was watching the videos earlier as they were coming in, he turned back to the camera and he gave it one of these to indicate
hook.
He'd hit a hook, which, you know, is what you had just described without even seeing him do that. So no surprise there. But yeah, I think, you know, in a lot of the swings that we've seen tonight, Adam, I mean, I think one of the things you know, everybody's worried about, you know, the position of the club. And you know, I kind of chuckle to myself when I walk the driving range and I see people stopping at the top of their swing and turning their heads back to try to see what's going on with the club behind them. And it's like, that doesn't matter. Like, just work on your movements, right? Work on how you're turning and get working in a rotary fashion and get the club moving, using the big muscles and not trying to be so worried about the club head. And
you can get a little bit too nitpicky for sure. You know, I think the things you'd like to see. This is a great little exercise. A guy called Fred Shoemaker, who I'm a huge fan of. I'm lucky enough to be around Fred quite a bit over the years. Extraordinary golf. He's just a great deliverer of information as a golf coach. But he had an interesting drill one day that he showed us. He said, okay, we're going to take, as a group of his teachers and some students, whatever, you're going to golf ball in the hand, hold it back like you're going to just rip it and toss it underhand. He said, now from there, put your other hand over and bring this back where they can meet. That's kind of your spot. Now do it a few more times. And what he's starting to say is, if you can get from A to B in the most efficient way, not movements and patterns. And most people, when they throw a rock, it goes right there. It doesn't kind of go here and there. So he's trying to tap into that would be great. Hey, little drill for the guy we just watched. Whose swing was that, the lefty?
Steve Ciccone.
Steve, I was right. I would get my bum up against the wall, no club, because it would hit the wall at the house. Get your balance, not so top heavy. Just make some little swings, 2/3 swings, arms in front of you, coming through and feeling like you just have a little connection, especially with the left cheek through there. Just little half swings. Balance, arms staying in front of you. That'd be a great thing to do in the evening when you're at the house.
Yeah, I think that, you know, a lot of what we've talked about tonight too, Adam, and one of the things I'm a big proponent of is there are things that you can do around the house or around the office to work on your golf game. And if you just spend 5 or 10 minutes, you know, every other day doing that stuff, you are making changes. I think a lot of people get caught in the trap of thinking that they got to pack up their clubs, drive to the club, or go to the driving range.
Most people don't have time for, I mean, they have time sometimes. They don't have a lot of time for that.
But
if you can take 2 minutes here and 40 seconds there, walk by the bathroom mirror and say, okay, let me check that pivot. You know, how's it look? You know, close my eyes and do it. Interesting. Faldo used to do this sometimes in front of the mirror. Sir Nick, he'd go over to the mirror. Sometimes he'd get somewhere he wanted to get, you know, whatever view. And sometimes he'd just close his eyes and look at the ground for 8 seconds. Just leave his eyes closed. Just soak it in. What am I noticing? What am I feeling? A lot of kinesthetic awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember one day we're in this corporate outing, and this is Nick in his heydays. And I mean, Nick was always a very technical guy. And this guy who's about a 20 handicap looks at David. He says, that Nick Faldo's too, David's his coach. That Faldo's just too technical. David's like, wow. So David said, you wouldn't mind being technical if you won 6 majors, would you? He said, no, I guess not. Nick, I believe, used to only cut his fingernails on Tuesdays because he didn't like the way his hands felt for a day or two afterwards. Maybe Mondays.
Well, you know what? That's a lot to be said for routine, right? Do the same. You don't.
Now, will that produce tour golf? I don't know, but
no.
But in other words, his attention to detail. I remember one day, and I'm giving you these little stories, but David said to me, we're at Lake Nona in Orlando, David's headquarters, he said, you got to pick Nick up at the airport. He doesn't know who that guy I am. Just tell him you work for me. And he's coming in British Airways first class. Just go down there. So I'm kind of nervous. I'm going to say, hey, Nick, my name's Adam. I work for Leadbetter. I'm giving you a ride. Okay, great. But when I walk up to him, he's at the baggage claim. He's in jeans and a dress shirt, waiting for his bag. And he's making moves at the baggage. He's working on it. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's just, the opportunity to work on feels and improve your swing is everywhere.
Kinesthetic awareness. The body smooths it out. You start to become more aware of what's happening.
And if you spend a couple of minutes a day and you do it every day, at the end of the week, you've actually accumulated some time and you've made a change.
Yeah. You can bank some really good time. Absolutely.
Well, listen, Adam, this was awesome. Like we've run over an hour, and the time has absolutely flown by. Very, very engaging, and I'm very, very
Hey,
happy.
thanks.
Yeah, that you'd be able to do this. Tell everybody where they can find you with scratchgolfacademy.com.
Yeah, Scratch Golf Academy is my YouTube channel. It's thankfully reasonably popular. Scratchgolfacademy.com, though, you can go there for. Had a big lawsuit, had problems, website crashed. I've actually got control of the thing now, which, as Alan would tell you, that may be a dangerous thing based on but I have people that that are helping me. But anyway, here's my point. We have wonderful, I think I'm still working on them, libraries of videos, full swing, bunker shot, driving, like a course you can take yourself through. Go there for a 14-day free trial. No gimmicks, not a $1 credit card charge that starts to get hit. Just go for a 14-day trial to scratchgolfacademy.com. Browse, use the video library, enjoy it. If you like it, we'd love to have you a member for a month or two or whatever you think. You can reach out to me. I actually do swing analysis for the members at that channel. So scratchgolfacademy.com would be great.
And so this is your first, this is your maiden voyage on Golf Live.
Yes, sir.
And hopefully we will be able to schedule more of these live streams. The responses for these from people, it's been very positive, and hopefully we can do more. And people can find me, and you're on Golf Live now too, right? And we're hopefully going to get some of the things that you're doing on YouTube, where what people saw tonight and what our secret sauce is, the ability to record videos and swings in a live call with the student and draw and share screen. What people saw tonight on this live stream is exactly what we can do in a live virtual call in a lesson with a student, and that is our live replay text.
One of the things very quickly is, I know I'm not in any hurry, but I know we've run over and everyone, but Alan was telling me that one of the things coaches could do, and I may certainly do, is an opportunity for you to, paid lesson, but you send your swings in, we arrange for a time in the evening or whatever, and then I give an analysis of your swing, and we can chat face to face, watch you do things, look at, and like you're in the same room, but maybe a 20-30 minute lesson or something like that. So I'm hoping to do that. That'd be fun. I'd enjoy that.
What we did tonight, you could do in a one-on-one fashion with a student, right?
Yeah.
For 20 or 30 minutes. They could pre-populate video.
Yeah, pre-populate video from each angle. Let's get on it and really make a plan. In
a one-on-one, in a live call, and they could be in their home or office, their simulator at the driving range while they're doing it. But 100%, that is what we do at Golf Live. We connect coaches to the world, and it doesn't matter where you are. They can be anywhere, live and getting feedback live in real time. So
hey, a guy sent me a swing a few years ago, and I'm looking at it through Scratch Golf, and it looks like he's on Mars. It's just red dust and a few mountains, and he's got this pickup truck. He's got a little square of AstroTurf. It doesn't look like it's a blade of water or grass within miles. So I was curious. I thought, is he in Arizona? I've been to Arizona. It's not that arid. You know where he was from? Alice Springs, Australia, right out in the middle where Ayers Rock is. I was like, it's an amazing video. A little square patch of AstroTurf. So they come from all corners.
Yeah, we actually have, and this goes back probably 2 or 3 years ago now, but we actually have clips of a video that was given on Golf Live of the student was actually on a dock on a lake, hitting balls. They had the mat, the AstroTurf mat was on the pier on the dock, hitting balls into the lake, taking the lesson. So it's it can happen anywhere. It's awesome.
Well, we just want to encourage everyone, enjoy your golf experience. I don't think anybody watching this, including unfortunately the two hosts, is going to win a major championship. That's not the point. It's trying to get better, trying to discover things about yourself, trying to enjoy it more between shots, trying to take advantage of nature and just it's a great game, and just trying to relax, get in front of it, and just try to improve and enjoy the process. It's terrific. Yeah.
Enjoy the journey. Because it's the greatest thing about golf is that nobody ever truly masters it.
Yeah.
It's the journey of wanting to hit that one shot. That one shot that could, and you never know.
I played soccer growing up. I'm from England. I played a lot of golf growing up too. But team sports have their upsides, and there's some great things there. But golf, I love the solitude, going out in the morning, the sound of the golf balls, chipping, hitting, working on it afresh. Just being present to it is magic. So take advantage of the time you have, even if it's just practice swinging at the house in the quiet.
Adam, thank you very much for being on Golf Live tonight. This was a
Thanks,
pleasure.
Alan. Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone. Appreciate those comments and sending the swings in. It's very kind.
Yeah, and look forward to doing this again with you real soon. You have a great night. Thanks to everybody for joining us.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Now, Adam, red X, and now you can hit finish the stream.
Okay. Okay. Red X top right.
Top right, and then hit finish the stream, and we'll close the call.